This makes you captivating to quality men. Hey, I'm Antia Boyd, and in this video, you will discover a very unexpected and unconventional way on how to magnetize a quality man to you. In this video, you will also discover how to do that in an authentic and genuine way without playing games and pretending someone who you're not. I'm the co-founder of Magnetize, and together with my husband, Brody Boyd, we've been helping thousands of successful women all over the world to get a connected, committed, and long-term relationship that they desire fast. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So now let's talk about what makes you captivating to quality men. And that is the concept of letting the hope die. I know what you want to say, girlfriend. Hear me out. I promise you it's going to turn your life around. Now, let me tell you a personal story of what I actually mean by that. So by the time it was 2013, which was, 12 years as we're shooting this video ago, I was running so much my anxious attachment style, and I was attracting a lot of emotionally unavailable men. Lots of promises, not a lot of follow through, words and actions didn't match, and of course, so many text messages remained unresponded to. Or in the other case, I always had to initiate. I always had to reach out. And most importantly, I thought, well, if I just wait long enough, then he will respond. Then he will turn around. And this is the hope that you need to let die. So it was Sunday, the third Sunday of January in 2013. And I had yet another man not respond to me. Something just clicked inside of me. I'd done a lot of workshops, seminars, trainings on masculine, feminine dynamics, polarity, healing your inner child wounds. And I realized something on that Sunday morning, which was I had the story that if I wait long enough, the man will turn around the same way how I was hoping, unconsciously, my inner child was hoping that my dad would actually turn around. Because my dad was making me promises back in the day when I was, of course, a little girl myself. Like we would move to certain cities or I would get certain things or whatever the case may be. So he would make me all these promises and a lot of them remained unfulfilled. Now, because we always make it about ourselves as little children, boy or girl, right? We make it about ourselves because that's how we stay motivated to survive. And so then the strategy becomes, well, wait a minute, if my dad in this particular case didn't fulfill the emotional needs, right? If he let me down, if he made me promise, then it must be in some way, shape, or form because I deserved it. It must be in some way, shape, or form that I wasn't humble enough. I wasn't patient enough. I wasn't grateful enough. I wasn't kind enough. And by now, you may find yourself nodding your head as well because this not enoughness theme is what drives so many women worldwide. No matter the age, no matter the stage. I've seen it over the last 11 years. So then what happens is I seek, of course, out men in the past. I sought out men who had that same profile like my dad, right? So that would make me all these promises and that felt familiar to my system. So I was like, wait a minute, that feels like a soulmate. That feels like somebody who's close to me. Oh, I have sort of like this kindred spirit here with me. No, it simply meant, danger, danger, you are about to repeat the same pattern. So here I am sending you a friendly reminder to let that hope die and to be that pattern interrupt. So what did I do that particular Sunday morning in 2013? By the way, side note, that was less than 5 months before my husband, Brody. So this is how fast this can go when you actually break through your pattern. So I realized I'm done. That was it. I've realized I'm done waiting. I'm done praying. I'm done hoping, and I'm done being attached, and I'm done, just visualizing things that were just not happening, and constantly feeling like I deserve this level of punishment almost, right? Because I thought, like, God, right? So as Christians, right, we're just like, God just wants me to teach this lesson, right? God just wants me to, no. I was like, wait a minute, what if God wants me to actually take a stand and actually acknowledge my internal authority that I have, that I can actually say no, right? And I deserve my divine birthright, and the healer is already healed, and my man already knows. Like, what if God wants me to step into that? And that's exactly what I did that morning. As a matter of fact, back in the day, Taylor Swift had just come out with that song, We Will Never Get Back Together. We will never, never, never getting back together. Right? Remember that? So that's what I sang to myself, because I was truly breaking up with my old self. Now, okay, hold on. Side note, did I do this so I wanted this guy to respond back to me? No. As a matter of fact, girlfriend, this very guy did get back to me. No, because I had broken up with my old self. I literally didn't care anymore. There was zero attraction. There was zero, like, oh my gosh, let me call my girlfriend. He finally got back to me. I turned him around. There was no more this resonance inside of me. There was no more this dopamine hit, right? It's like an adrenaline rush. It's like as if you got like a shot of heroin inside of your system, right? Where you get like sort of this kick for a moment. I didn't have that anymore. He couldn't provide it for me anymore, because I didn't give him that power anymore. And you know why I didn't give him that power anymore? Because this guy didn't know. I had made a new statement that said, my man knows, right? There's no thinking about it, washing his hamster's hair, asking his grandma, getting divorced from the ex, selling the house, sending the kids off to college. I mean, I've heard it all, and I've done actually videos on this here on the protective shields that unavailable men use as excuses to keep distance to you that you constantly fall for and waste years of your life in. I stopped doing that. And then, of course, this man, he doubled down. It's like God is going to test you, right? The test is becoming the testament. And so this guy actually said, hey, I want to really take you on a date. And when can I call you? And for me, when I broke up with my old self, God showed me a new vision. It was instant. It was, if you finally trust me, you are finally stepping into faith. You're finally letting your inner eyes be the one that guide you, not the external ones, right? You're finally not leaning on your own understanding, but you're giving it up, right? Like, have you said that so many times? Like, I'm giving up. I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. Good. Give it up, right? Give it up to God, give it up to Jesus, because you can't do it yourself. And then I got, quote unquote, the reward. Not that I was looking for that in that moment. I came from full-on conviction. All I knew was, this is it. I'm over it. And I felt such a relief, and I felt such a sense of self-love and self-worth that I got to say, my man knows. And I knew I will never, ever wait on a guy again. This was like peace. This was freedom. This was deliverance. This may have actually been a deliverance, to be honest with you, in that moment, now that I think about it. Right? And then, of course, this guy ended up actually calling me. Now, mind you, I was not going out of my way. I said, if you must, you can call me, right? But however, there was no more attachment. I didn't care, because, of course, on that call, I took the call. I was driving because I couldn't be bothered wasting a minute of my life. So I did it in my dead time. And so, long story short, I didn't go on a date with him. And actually, I met another guy that same month who treated me like a queen, and he was amazing. And I was actually the one who had to be like, more accepting. And obviously he wasn't the one, but he was actually sort of the bridge, right? He actually catered me into this new heavenly paradigm that I was then fully stepping into when I met my husband in June of 2013, right? So that's how fast things went, right? So that's what I say when I say let the hope die. Okay, so why do you let the hope die? Because the hope is actually attachment in disguise. It's actually saying to God, I don't trust you. And it's also saying you're perpetuating a childhood wound, a childhood pattern, and that you are at fault, that you are at cause. And then if I hold on enough, because that's the logic of an inner child, it's like if I hold on enough, then I'm going to be able to control the outcome and I'm going to be able to change the outcome, which of course, obviously is not true. Now, what also needs to happen is, of course, why you have to let go is because then you can actually be receptive. As long as you're holding on, you're in the masculine. I don't know if you knew that, girlfriend, right? In order to attract a quality man into your life who's, of course, masculine, grounded, aligned, self-trusting in his king integrity, you have to be in the receptive. Well, how do you think you get into the receptive? Is by release, right? Letting go. And release is actually the signature of the feminine. That's what my husband said on our last group call, actually. And I'm like, that makes so much sense, right? Control, it's like the masculine wants to control. The masculine is taking over, protecting, right? Controlling the environment, making sure everybody's safe, right? The feminine is like release, right? Because then she becomes naturally receptive, available, magnetic. Now, what does that take is trust. Because I know what you want to say. You got abused, you got used, you got violated, and now you're saying here, you let the hope die, and that means I'm not worthy. Because that's what the ego wants to tell you. No, you deserve it, girlfriend. Don't you let that go. You deserve that. Girlfriend, you deserve the vision that you have for your life. But the attachment to a man who's repetitively not getting back to you, you deserve better, right? Now it's time to stop the projection that he's going to be the one, that he's going to be the healer. Look, the healer is already healed. The healer doesn't need to be healed. I know, this may be a breakthrough for some of you, right? It's like you don't need to do anything to heal the healer, right? So my husband, when he came into my life, he was already healed. What does that mean? He communicated consistently. He could tell me that I was the girl of his story. He communicated his emotions without acting weird and funny and incongruent or overly psychopathic or clingy or in any case, shape, or form. He was also able to talk about his vulnerabilities. He was also able to give me a second chance when I was breaking down, when I was not showing my best face as well, because there has to be a room in this relationship for that. So that's why it's so important to let the hope die, right? So you're actually stepping fully into your feminine, into your magnetic. Now, how in the world do you do that? So I said already before, prayer helps for sure. Second one is also understanding how these holding patterns, the attachment patterns that you have to this particular man that you're thinking of right now, that you're thinking, gosh, he treated me so well. You have like several women that I hear this from all the time, right? He treated me first so well and we had like the best conversations and he was so compassionate and he was so much better than my ex-husband. He was so much more loving and he was so much more understanding and I felt like he really gets it and we had like some really emotionally intimate moments. Girlfriend, I get all of this. This is like amazing and how healing all of this is. But again, it doesn't mean that the messenger is the healer. He was the messenger, right? He actually taught you, oh, wow, this is what it could be looking like. That's the messenger, right? What it looks like to be with a healthy man. Is he the healthy man? We'll see. So this is the invitation when you release, when you let go of that, we'll see. Let's see. Okay, I'm not one to rain on your parade, but I'm here to invite you to continue to see this pattern. How's this playing out in 6 months? How's this playing out in 9 months? Is this consistency stabilizing, right? Or is it breaking down? So if he now is not talking to you, if he's blocking you, if he's inconsistent, if he's still associated, if he moved to a different town, whatever the case may be, then you can thank him for being the messenger, right? But he's not the healer. He's not going to be the healer for your heart. You know why? Because he's not emotionally safe. And this is where you need to let the hope die. Now, what does it happens when you let the hope die is grief, right? Because think about it. If your inner child was holding on that your mom or your dad will finally turn around and finally tell you that they love you, that they cherish you, that they are so sorry that they neglected you and that they didn't pay attention to you when it mattered the most, and that didn't validate you, or that didn't protect you. I know some of you were like also sexually violated as well. They didn't protect you, right? Whatever the case may be. And here I am telling you, no, you need to let that hope die because your parents not going to do that. Then there has to be a grief. The grief of that outcome, right? The grief of that vision, the grief of that future life that the inner child still holds on to, right? She still holds on to having that vision of that like coming to Jesus moment with the parents. That maybe doesn't even happen. However, it doesn't have the same impact. Because what happens to us the first 7 years of life can't be just reversed by having a conversation later on with your parent in your 30s or your 40s or your 50s, right? This is like something where you need to let the hope die. However, the beautiful thing is when you let the hope die, and I invite you really, this is going to bring out tears and sadness. I invite you to seek out counsel, of course. Don't do this by yourself. I had lots of support. I don't mean just friends, okay? I don't mean just like a sister or a sibling or a co-worker, right? I real like professional support that could help my body to move through this like in a somatic, healthy way, that I was actually able to receive a new pattern. You see, you have to break off from the old pattern, even if it feels so familiar. And if there's so much hope and so much vision and so many wishes attached, that you can receive a new pattern. But when I attracted my husband into my life, it was a completely new pattern. My system didn't even know what to do with it. In the beginning, I even sabotaged it. I broke up with him for like 2.5 or 3 hours, because I'm like, I don't know what else to do. I don't know. This is not what I normally date, but I'm attracted to him. But it's not romantic. I don't know what's going on, right? Because I didn't feel that attraction anxiety. Attraction anxiety is what we call it. I actually call it curious chemistry instead of crazy chemistry. And we talk a lot about this in our program, right? But that's what you're going to invite in. You actually get the man that God has for you. So let me know if you have any other questions, girlfriend. I'm here for you. Let that hope die and let God truly surprise you of what an incredible, available, quality, high caliber, and godly man you will attract into your life, and how cherished and how safe and how loved and how seen and safe and heard you feel. I'll talk to you next time.